All right, sounds good. Thanks, Rob. Hey, I'm excited to talk a little bit about power and some different things that we've done over the last couple of years that I think really turned this into our main concept. I was always my background was option based back in the mid '90s when I first got out of college, and I played in a system where we threw the ball a little bit, and when I got to be an offensive coordinator, first head coach that hired me, he wanted to run power I and be in the I, and we ran a lot of option football. And in '98, '99, we started to evolve into the gun and run more zone read concepts. And for several years, we were really zone based. Inside and outside zone were our major concepts, and it was just in the last 3 or 4 years that we really got into more gap scheme stuff. So as we went through the season this year, we find ourselves running more and more power. And the neat thing is, one thing that I've always prided myself on, this was my 13th year, I believe, or 14th year, I'm not even sure, as a coordinator, is helping guys, our offensive staff. We always try to hire great guys and then help them move on to become coordinators and head coaches. And most of them throughout the years have. And a lot of the stuff you're going to see here was not just me sitting down and thinking I'm real smart. A lot of the stuff that you're going to see that we did this year came from the guys that I work with, and we sit down and we get nuts on the board. And I think my job really is we get a lot of smart people together as we game plan. We put things on the board and then pare it down into a list that's manageable that we can practice each week. So I'm going to take you through some fun things here, some ways we built some RPOs into it, and really hopefully give you some things that you can tangibly use with your guys. We're going to go through a lot. I'm going to try to get through it. Our last clinic ended up going over 2 hours, and that was fine with me. I was on spring break, but of course we got to get up early tomorrow. But look for this to probably go an hour and a half tonight. And if you have questions that come up, type them in the bottom there, and I'll do my best. We certainly don't have all the answers, but I think we've got a great offensive staff and a lot of guys that have come up with a lot of great things, and we'll try to give you some ways that have been successful. We found the ways things don't work as well, and I think that's why this is kind of fun. Is we're starting to constantly overcome the things that didn't work, and maybe be able to head off some things for you before you face them. But we're going to talk about some of the advantages of power, how we block it, how we put an H-back into it, our RPO concepts, and then we'll show you a few different read concepts that go with it, and an interesting thing we did this year where we combined power with pin and pull, and we'll talk you through that, and then a little bit of our naked play action off of it. A couple things that we really like, we look at it as being very, very versatile. We can take one blocking scheme, so our offensive line needs to know one thing, but we can add several different variations. We can run it with or without a tight end. In the old days, we only ran it with a tight end. Now we got to the point where we run it without a tight end. We feel like we get great angles, and what we talk about is leverage, numbers, and green grass. Where can we get leverage, which the definition of leverage, we've defined it as simply an advantage. Where can we get numbers, and how can we get green grass? And if we can get great angles, that gives us leverage. We have an advantage. We can create an opportunity to create a crease and get to some green grass. We wanted to have, when we were simply inside outside zone read back in the day, I'd say we got soft on offense. Power gives us an attitude play. It gives us several ways that we can read defenders, and we read a lot of different guys. And I'll take you through some things we're doing there, and hopefully none of our opponents get on this thing, but I'm sure maybe one or two will. And then and how we fit them in with our run pass options. Everything that we do, and we've gradually built this in, and you'll see some things I'll show you some clips from a couple of years ago where we didn't really have the run pass option built in, and you'll see why we've added it in. But what that does is it forces the defense, and I'll get into a little more detail on this, to defend the entire football field. We want them to have to defend all 6, 7, or 8 gaps, depending on what we're lined up in formation-wise, and have to still defend all 53 1/3 yards. And so we'll get into that a little more detail in a minute. Our power blocking is very simple.